Hope is stoked about Daphne's return, and Sheila wishes Luna a fond farewell. Hope Logan will be furious about Daphne Rose's return, according to The Bold and the Beautiful, while Sheila Sharp wants to say goodbye to Luna Nozawa. Now that Daphne has made a Los Angeles comeback, Hope certainly won't be happy over the news. Hope will wish Daphne had stayed in Paris, but Carter Walton has missed seeing her in the office. It will be difficult for Hope to have faith in Carter and the commitment they have made, even though Daphne is constantly flirting. Hope will have good reasons to be concerned because Daphne's intoxicating scents won't help. Hope and Carter's engagement will be put at greater risk by Daphne the longer she stays. Hope may flaunt her ring a bit on Monday's episode and try to mark her territory, but Daphne may move forward with a renewed Carter pursuit anyway. As for Brooke Logan, she'll dig her heels in against Taylor Hayes. Brooke may once again predict that fate will prevail in the end, despite Taylor's attempts to intimidate her and get her to stop throwing herself at Ridge Forrester. However, there will be some hostility surrounding the upcoming trip to Italy. Nick Marone will have an opening with which to work if Ridge is successful in getting on Brooke's bad side at some point. That said, we all know how this B&B storyline is going to end. Fans should absolutely be prepared for the possibility that Brooke and Ridge will reunite in the future. John Finn Finnegan and Bridget Forrester will continue to discuss the strange circumstances surrounding Liam Spencer's tumor case and the life-saving procedure in the interim. Bridget and Finn will kick their investigation up a notch when it comes to figuring out why Grace Buckingham handled everything in such a bizarre, secretive way. Scammer Grace will do her best to keep covering her tracks, but that could get harder as Finn and Bridget uncover more information. As for Sheila, she'll plead with Lee Finnegan for some closure. Sheila might try to see Luna's body, grave, or urn because she wants to say goodbye to her granddaughter. Lee won't allow that and will crush Sheila in the process, but it's only because she's hiding something huge. The Bold and the Beautiful say Luna is still alive and recovering behind closed doors, so stay tuned for updates on how long Lee can keep that a secret. Will Carter Walton and Daphne Rose get down on one knee? This week, perfume consultant Daphne Rose returned to The Bold and the Beautiful, and she is prepared to continue where she and Carter Walton left off. The only issue is that Carter is already engaged to marry Hope Logan. Will Daphne Rose be able to seduce him away from his fiancée, or will he stay true to Hope? Daphne is back in the hunt. Steffi Forrester hired Daphne Rose when she first appeared on Bold and Beautiful to seduce Carter Walton during the Forrester Creations takeover. However, it appeared that Daphne the Nose Rose had actually developed feelings for Hope Logan's man after the dust settled. Carter even had a conversation with Daphne and informed her that he had made the decision to marry Hope Logan and that he and Logan would never be together again. Following their conversation, Daphne boarded a plane and left the country. However, she has returned just a few weeks later and is already flirting with Carter again. According to The Bold and the Beautiful, Carter is committed to Hope and really wants to marry her. Hope Logan will spend the next month at Liam Spencer's bedside, vying for his affection. Will he find solace in Daphne Rose when Hope is neglecting her fiancé? Carter Walton becomes isolated. Hope Logan and Carter Walton are for the time being solid. However, it is only a matter of time before he mentions the amount of time Hope spends with Liam. The possibility of a Lope reunion is even mentioned in rumors. B&B claims that when Daphne discovers that Hope is not present, she will intensify her seduction. One thing could change into the other if she finds Carter when he is alone. Do you think Carter will sabotage Hope by cheating on her with Daphne? As the days unfold in Los Angeles, The Bold and the Beautiful sets the stage for emotional warfare framed by returning flames, broken trust, and unresolved grief, beginning with the arrival of Daphne Rose, whose sense and flirtation instantly reignite trouble in paradise for Carter Walton and fury in Hope Logan, his I-do-ready fiancée. Hope's world is turned upside down when Daphne enters the office at Forrester Creations after her sudden departure to Paris, despite Carter's assurances that Hope is the only person he will ever marry. Hope had secretly hoped that Daphne would remain absent, but instead, she watches in increasing horror as Carter greets Daphne with affection, laughter, and a familiarity that Hope is certain she will never be able to match. While Carter drifts back toward a woman who once courted him under Steffi's instructions, Hope's commitment to Carter begins to fracture in small cracks whenever Hope is distracted performing baby moon duty at Liam Spencer's hospital bedside. Carter has felt more alone in corridors and conference rooms, vulnerable to the intoxicating chemistry Daphne still exudes, as Hope's attention has been on Liam's miraculous recovery and the errors surrounding Grace Buckingham's experimental surgery. Daphne, never one to waste an opportunity, steps up her game. Leaning into Carter's laughter, trailing her perfume near his suit jacket, and offering behind-the-scenes introductions to clients at the fashion show without hesitation. Hope fends off her gut reactions, telling herself to trust Carter's loyalty, but every time Daphne brushes against his arm, cracks widen in her faith. Will Carter and Daphne end up kneeling because of their internal conflict, laying the groundwork for betrayal? Will Carter remain loyal to Hope, or will Daphne's schemes win him back just at the right time when the relationship should be at its strongest? As Sheila Sharp still clings to the hope that her granddaughter Luna Nozawa is at peace, she makes one last plea to Lee Finnegan for access to Luna's gravesite or at least permission to see a tombstone, urn, or memorial. At the same time, the emotional undercurrents in Seattle become equally turbulent. Sheila's heartbreak intensifies when Lee visits with icy composure and firmly denies Sheila's requests to grieve publicly and physically. Sheila is distraught not only because of the loss, but also because she has the hunch that Lee may be hiding more than just a place to rest. Perhaps Luna is still alive and is kept somewhere far from them all. Sheila's plea becomes steamed with desperation. She wants closure, or at least the illusion of it, but hears only blanks. She is crushed by this denial. It's just as the family drama in LA escalates. Hope, exhausted from hospital vigil, storms back into her engagement, sees Carter laughing with Daphne at a client preview panel, and spits out the words she's been drowning, "How could you?" While Daphne smiles too freely and Carter tries to justify that it's all professional. Hope's faith is shaken. Even though Hope's absences from the hospital are making him feel isolated, Carter also regrets the growing distance between them and wonders if he is being punished for choosing love over drama. Steffi stays away from the emotional battlefield with her children all the time, but Finn Finnegan and Bridget Forrester stay behind, prodded by both guilt and medical curiosity as they intensify their investigation into Grace Buckingham's million-dollar con that cured Liam. When nothing adds up, footage shows Bridget poring over hospital logs, Finn locating lab results, and the two exchanging worried glances. Grace is 6 degrees removed from redemption due to her past as not only the widow of Reese Buckingham who fabricated the death of baby Beth, but also someone who may have just fabricated brain scans and performed surgery on a healthy man for profit. When Hope calls Bill Spencer to complain about hours in the hospital and hints at becoming a ghost in her own life, Bill snaps. He funded Liam's surgery out of love, and hardly understands why his daughter-in-law would choose hospital over her own fiancé. Hope feels guilty, Carter feels unseen, and Daphne smells blood in this setting. She steps in with invitations to cocktails after hours, suggesting dinners of Italian food, and all friendship disguised as more. Each flirtatious encounter between Carter and Daphne is a warm memory that makes a future with Hope feel complicated for Carter, while each flirtatious encounter is a dagger for Hope. Meanwhile, Sheila's grief reaches its boiling point when she makes a desperate phone call to Deacon Sharp, claiming that Lee won't let her bury Luna and that she has lost touch with reality. Deacon comforts her, but he also confides in her that he has suspected for weeks that Luna may still be alive and hiding somewhere with Lee. Sheila vows to push for the truth or risk nothing but lies. Back in Los Angeles, Hope tries to keep her cool by showing off her engagement ring and writing Hope's name on her coffee cup. She does this to show Carter how much she loves him, even though she is afraid he doesn't love her enough. Carter assures her that nothing will alter, but his smile lingers for a moment longer each time Daphne calls his name. Hope's fury begins to bubble into public confrontation when at the fashion preview she lashes out at Daphne for flirting with her finance, accusing her of disrespecting the engagement, forcing a stunned silence upon Forrester's swaggering showroom. Daphne, not backing down, replies with provocations about chemistry and destiny. Betrayal is planted in front of buyers and executives alike. Elsewhere in Seattle, Finn and Bridget begin to share confidential revelations. A procedural report missing from the hospital database, a third-party tech employee on Grace's payroll, ghosted emails from the lab that submitted the scans, and a mysterious offshore account tied to medical invoices. Viewers are drawn into a storm as the suspense builds across 2 locations. Will Carter break Hope's heart? Will Hope call off the wedding? Will Daphne win him back with a whispered apology and perfume-laden tendrils? Will Finn expose Grace for fraud and bring justice to Liam? And will Sheila ever get a final goodbye to Luna or some truth to hold on to? What could go wrong is everything. Loyalty unravels, grief becomes vengeance, love turns into suspicion, all woven through the tapestry of B&B's next dramatic explosion.